Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us this evening for our Regional Fire and EMS Services Study Public Information and Input session. For those of you who, I know some of you, but for those of you who don't know me, my name is Cadence Matievich, and I have the privilege of serving as a Government Affairs Liaison here at Washoe County. And I'm going to serve as your MC for this evening. And we'll begin the program in just a minute, but a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. So most importantly, if for some reason we need to evacuate this room, your nearest exit is out this door about 10 paces to the right. The next nearest exit is out this door to your left, directly out into the parking lot. Your nearest restroom, there's a men's room right outside this door and a ladies' room right outside the main door. And there's also additional restrooms down the hallway. I would ask that everyone please take a moment and silence your electronic devices. You'll rattle me if your alarm to feed the dog goes off. So appreciate you doing that. Very quickly, I'll just give a high-level overview of our session for this evening. So I have some slides that I'll be presenting. We are recording this meeting, and it will be available online for anyone to view. We'll have that recording posted mid-morning tomorrow, and so it will be available. So I'll ask for your indulgence, please, as we navigate the technology to be able to capture both the presentation and the participation of other speakers and you all as the audience. So we will go through the presentation this evening. About 3/4 of the way through, there will be an opportunity for those of you who are here to provide public input. And we intend for this to be what we hope is an informational session for you, a little less formal than an official Board of County Commissioners or City Council meeting. But we would ask that everyone please be respectful of one another. As I look around the room, I see lots of faces who've been engaged on this issue for many years. I know lots of you have information that you'll likely want to share with us, and we are grateful that you're here and look forward to receiving that. We just ask that we all keep in mind that we are all fellow community members and to treat one another and your neighbors with respect, please. So again, we'll move through the slides. Unless I've really messed up, one of these folks will flag me if I really messed up. But we'll walk through the slides, and we'll have the opportunity for public input, and we'll share with you about opportunities that you'll be able to continue to engage with us as we move through this process. And so with that, I'll move into the presentation. With introductions, and again, due to some technology restraints, I'll be doing a lot of the speaking. And so while I would normally have all of these gentlemen introduce themselves, if we turn on the overhead microphones, it captures every single sound on the recording. So I am going to introduce them starting right here on my left. Mr. Rick Martinez, retired fire chief from Ardenna Solutions. Mr. Reggie Salvador from Emergent Global Solutions. These two gentlemen represent the consulting team that we've hired to help us with this study, and you'll hear more from them as we continue through the evening. Chief Richard Edwards from the Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District. Chief Walt White from the Sparks Fire Department. Chief Dave Cochran from the City of Reno Fire Department. J.W. Hodge, Assistant City Manager for the City of Reno, and Dave Solero, Assistant County Manager for Washoe County. We'll start with an introduction of why we're here this evening. Our region is growing. That is not a surprise to anyone in this room. And that growth has brought increasing demand for fire prevention, fire protection, and emergency medical services in our region. There should be an L at the end of medical. Our current system has resource and coordination gaps across our jurisdictions. Changing weather patterns are raising wildfire risk. Here we are on the 19th of March in short sleeves and looking at nearly 90 degrees. Our citizens deserve response from the closest available resources, regardless of a jurisdictional boundary. We are looking to have fewer 911 transfers, an efficient and equitable use of taxpayer dollars, and a modern coordinated services that match our region's growth. How we got here. As I said in the beginning, many of you that I see in the audience have been engaged on this topic for many years. You know that for more than 20 years now, we have been studying the topic of fire and emergency services in our region. I see some former elected officials sitting in the audience tonight that were part of those discussions and part of those studies. We appreciate your attendance and look forward to any input that you may have for us later. I also see that we have some of our current elected officials in the audience tonight, and so thank you for being here. We've had years of prior studies and a really great track record of collaboration in our region. On February 6th of this year, the governing bodies of Washoe County, City of Reno, the City of Sparks, the Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District Board of Fire Commissioners held a concurrent meeting to discuss the topic of fire regionalization. And at that meeting, all 4 of those governing bodies gave direction to their respective county or city manager or fire chief that they were committing to act on this and received direction for the managers and the fire chiefs to immediately begin working with one another to talk about opportunities for collaboration, opportunities to identify efficiencies and ways to more effectively provide public safety in our community. And so they've been doing that. Since February of this year, a working group was set up. They meet regularly. That working group is many of the folks sitting at the table today. And I would note that Mr. Duplantis from REMSA has joined us. Welcome, Barry. And representatives from REMSA, the leadership of the dispatch entities at each one of our agency, and they've been focusing on ways that we can improve services without requiring any legislative action, either at the local level or at the state level. That includes computer-aided dispatch and records management systems upgrades, automatic aid agreements, common standard operating guidelines, and opportunities for joint training. On June 9th of this year, Governor Lombardo signed Senate Bill 319, which mandates the study that we're here to talk about tonight. That bill was sponsored by Senator Skip Daly and co-sponsored by Senator Angie Taylor, both of whom represent Senate districts here in Washoe County. I would also note that this evening we have the privilege of having Assemblymember Natha Anderson joining us. Thank you for being here, Assemblymember. So again, the study was mandated by SB 319, but the bodies were already committed to acting before then. We'd made that commitment in February of 2025. But following the mandate from the bill, the study board was established via an interlocal agreement. And the members of that study board, that board is chaired by Washoe County Commissioner Mariluz Garcia. The vice chair is Joe Rodriguez, a Sparks City Council member. And the members are Reno City Council member Brandy Anderson, who I feel pretty certain I saw in the audience this evening. There she is. Sparks City Council member Paul Anderson, who I also believe I saw here this evening. Yes, also here. Washoe County Commissioner Claire Andriola, who's here with us. And City of Reno Council member Miguel Martinez. Councilmember Martinez, I don't know if I see him. And I also see that we have joining us our State Senator Lisa Krasner. Thank you, Senator, for being here this evening. I want to talk just quickly, and we'll actually hit this point a couple of times as we go through this evening's presentation. There's Senator Daley. Senator, welcome. Um, uh, uh, that the study board, it's important for us at the outset, and as I said, as we continue through this discussion, there'll be some places where we'll remind you of this. But the bill does not mandate consolidation. Indeed, the bill does not authorize the study board to mandate consolidation. The study board is not authorized to levy new taxes, fees, or assessments. Those actions will be taken by whatever action there is, should there be action, will be taken by the local governing bodies after the study is complete and informed by those findings and recommendations in the study. But I think it's important for everyone here to know that the study board in and of itself does not have independent authority to make those decisions or to mandate consolidation or new fees or taxes or assessments. At the introductions, I introduced Mr. Martinez and Mr. Salvador. They represent Emergent Global Solutions and their subcontractor, Ardennis Solutions, who were selected as a study consultant after a rigorous RFP process. We advertised in accordance with state statute that governs local government purchasing, and so we went out to bid. We solicited bids. Had a panel of subject matter experts that reviewed the submissions, scored and ranked them, and their firm was selected based on that rigorous process. You'll hear more from them about the methodology and the specific things that they'll be studying a little bit later this evening. Data collection is already underway across all of our agencies. And the study will examine response times, operational costs, legal requirements, governance models, and funding mechanisms. Senate Bill 319 requires that the study board submit the final study report to each of the governing bodies of Washoe County, the City of Reno, and the City of Sparks, not later than December 31, 2026, so end of this year. We've got a lot of work to do between now and then, and the group is already hard at work. And so with that, I'm going to step away from the podium and let Mr. Martinez come up and tell you about his firm and the activities that they have underway.
Good evening. It's our pleasure to be here tonight. My name is Rick Martinez, as Caden said, but I'm going to start with my colleague here, Reggie Salvador, and he'll talk a little about EGS because, you know, things just can't be easy. There can't be one of us. There's two of us. So with that.
Thanks, Rick. Hi, folks. Reggie Salvador, Vice President of Public and Private Sector Navigation for Emergent Global Solutions. We are a firm that specializes in high-level policy development relative to public safety, homeland security, and all-hazard threat response and recovery. We are headquartered in Sacramento, and we are led by the former Director and Governor's Homeland Security Advisor for the Governor's Office of Emergency Services, and we're very happy to help out on this project.
Well, as I said, good evening. My name is Rick Martinez. A little bit about how we got where we are today. All of the folks that are working on this project, on this study, know one another. We worked on a number of projects over the years. It just so ends up there's two different businesses, and we decided to collectively provide a proposal for the RFP, and we're selected. Cadence wasn't kidding. It was a thorough process. After we were through with the submission, I was exhausted. And lo and behold, here we are today. A little bit about Ardennis. We mostly focus on local government. We've done some other work, public safety, particularly emergency services, emergency management, and fire departments. Our team is made up of practitioners. There are 3 former fire chiefs that all have worked in special districts, tribal fire departments, as well as municipal fire departments. And we all have varied experience with consolidation, regionalization, joint powers agencies or authorities, as well as full-blown mergers. We've added to that a former CAO, county administrator. Two of our team members are actually residents of Washoe County, and well, that's four of us. Worked on a study for Washoe, for Truckee Meadows and Reno. I think it was 2007. So we know have a little historical perspective. And I will say I'm joined tonight by my colleagues, Jessica Powell, Nigel Thompson. They each play a role in the study process and help us assembling the study at the end of the day. I actually had quite a lead-in and bios for them. I really don't think that's what you're here for tonight. But it's safe to say this: anyone that would have been selected by the board that made the selection is coming to you, whether it was us or the other firms. If they're got to this point, it's because after a very thorough review, the panel would feel that we have the capacity to deliver and the experience to know. So let me get started. So here we go. I've been tasked with shifting this. So let's. Yes. Okay. A little bit about our about the study, our goals and tasks. Oh, the page isn't. Here we go. And I apologize. Low light doesn't work well. The goal is to identify opportunities for regional collaboration, recommend options to improve service delivery, operational efficiency, and fiscal responsibility. In short, is to come in, look at the three departments. First, let me highlight that this is not a critical review trying to find fault. I can tell you that what it is looking for ways to enhance the service you already have. The service is being delivered every day in your communities, and I fully believe that that service is being done well. The opportunities here are looking for new ways, efficiency, cost effectiveness. As part of our task, we will be providing recommendations for service enhancements and looking at equity and delivery. As Caden said, and this is pretty typical, communities grow over time. Population increases. What you, I'm sure, have seen in the greater Reno, Sparks, Washoe area is an increase in calls for service, a higher expectation by the public, and generally resources haven't kept pace. Also, development doesn't always come where you'd like to have it. So sometimes existing resources, fire stations, may not be adequately sited or suited for what the folks at work delivering the service need today. So what we will do is we'll review the operational standards that they've been established here. We'll look at the emergency medical service integration and then the impact of all of that on your insurance and legislation. Equity in service delivery is really difficult. One of the things that we will look at is your existing resources, how they're deployed and where they're used most. Understanding that if you live in a rural area, the service is a little different than if you're in the urbanized area, but we will balance that. We will look for efficiencies and performance improvements and also cost effectiveness. I can tell you from my own personal experience, and I'll talk a little bit about that throughout this. What I've seen with mergers, consolidations, or amalgamations is what generally happens over time is you're able to shore up areas where you may be light in. You take advantage of, they're not necessarily duplicative positions, but when you have a larger agency, some positions which you have, I'll cite the one I held for 12 years, the fire chief, you only have one, not three. So you start to make hay with those positions to backfill spots which you need filled. I can tell you that generally speaking, regionalization results in better buying power, more standardized equipment, establish regional policies to include standard operation guidelines and procedures, and overall a more uniform approach to delivering emergency services. But with that, we are not coming in and only looking at one possible alternative. We will look at what a regional fire service or elements of that. We'll look at perhaps the low-hanging fruit or the best next step or path would be some type of merging or joint powers of elements of the service that's being delivered today, whether it be training or prevention or just there's a number of things. So we're going to look at what departments are doing and then stand back and say, is there a better way? What we're not going to do is we aren't going to, oh, I'm sorry. You should never leave me with love. What we're not doing is we're not making any decisions. We're coming up with recommendations. We will be conducting assessments, providing options and recommendations. Who will decide to make changes if changes are made? And that's a big if, will be the respective governing bodies. The City Council for Sparks, the City Council for Reno, and the Truckee Meadows Fire District. That's a really important notation. Tonight is an opportunity for you to see us, and I have to say thank you to all of you being here. I had no idea who would show. Some firefighters might be in the room, but beyond that, but it's nice to see a broad range of folks here because it's an important topic. A little bit off script, I can tell you that it's been impressed upon us from the very beginning, and we've just gotten started, that those organizations, the departments, the cities, the county, the district, are really insistent on engaging the public, of being transparent and ensuring that as we go down this path, as we do this study, that you're made aware of what's going on. At the end of the study, we'll provide a report. I can't tell you what's in that report. I need a clicker because I do better with the click. So a little bit about our approach. First of all, there's been a number of studies done on regional fire service in this area. I think B5. And it was also impressed upon us to take advantage of that. We will be using the information that is contained in those earlier studies. We'll validate it, but we're not going to take that opportunity of the good work that's already been done here. We will focus, as I said, on efficiency, cost effectiveness, and practicality. It's really important, I think, having been through a few consolidations, that the community culture is important to understand and to include. With today's AI, you could probably put all this in some magic computer and it would spit it out. But that's not what we're going to do. One of our processes will include engaging with stakeholders within the community. And that, I think, a really important element, because there's no perfect or right way. There's a way that's right for you. So we will solicit ideas and opinions from experienced specialists from the industry, both active and retired, who have gone through this before. Your public safety professionals, which are represented here at the dais, but also in the audience, I'm sure, and throughout the community. Obviously, your elected officials, and then you, the public. Task summary is this. We will, I've talked about efficiency, but service enhancements. Is there a way to do what you're doing better? Is there a way to make it easier? Or some of the things that you're doing, should you be doing those? Is there some other way to meet that operational need? We'll look at dispatching, service models to optimize resource deployment with the intent to improve response times. Operational performance is how are you doing business today? We will compare those to other agencies, see if there's a best practice which may be helpful. Those operational pieces will include obviously response time, staffing levels for each agency, and anything we do, any recommendation we make will include a review that forecasts the impacts on insurance or any other costs. We will do a complete financial assessment of what any changes mean. We'll also use national best practices. NFPA, what Reggie didn't say is his founder is also on the board of the National Fire Protection Association. And FBA puts out a number of standards and documents. We will take some of those standards and compare them to goals that have been set and standards that have been set here. I look at those as a guide. There are other things that control what you can do, finances being one of them, capacity being another. We will look at the organizational structure and operational structure. The integration of emergency medical services, what's happening in the field today between the fire departments and their emergency medical piece and REMSA. As I said, we'll look at how any changes will affect insurance. I'm sure that like most of the places dealing with increased insurance costs, that can be significant. So obviously the final outcome is to have a positive influence on that, as well as any legislative local ordinances, rules, laws, regulations that may need to be adjusted as part of a recommendation. This is the timeline for delivery. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. We're launching tonight. I want to highlight that we are just getting started. We literally just started with data collection weeks ago now. I think I did my first set of interviews maybe 3 weeks ago. So we're really in the startup throes. But it's a midsummer delivery of some drafts. In September, October, we go through validation, and really the study should be delivered in November and will be taken up by the respective boards or commissions in December. I will tell you the one thing that there's a number of things that keep me up at night, but early this morning, this schedule is compacted. It's a lot to do in a short period of time because we depend upon so many people for information. All those people have full-time jobs, and so we're trying to be mindful of their time and not overburden them any more than we absolutely have to. But that's our timeline. Deliverables. Obviously, the feasibility and service enhancements assessment. What can be done? When could it be done? What are the impacts of what to be done? The standards that covered will look at what's currently being delivered today and seeing if changes can be made to improve the delivery in the field. There'll be financial modeling with every scenario or every recommendation and looking for a funding strategy. And then the big piece is if you look towards some type of regionalization is the governance. Who's going to govern that agency or organization? Any recommendations for legislative or regulatory changes in the transition plan should regionalization include some type of significant change in structure? Well, I think what's important to note, everything I've just went over is a process. It's been done here to some extent. It's been done in a number of places. The one thing I think that distinguishes our team a little bit is, as I said earlier, we've all been through a merger or consolidation. As a fire chief, I went through 2. I lived with the last one for 5 years. That's significant because it's one thing to study and analyze. It's another thing to project. And then it's quite another thing to then make it happen and live with it for a while. So we're really sensitive that anything that we recommend, that it's grounded, logical, appropriate for your community, and it's something that has the ability to grow, thrive, and there won't be any surprises. Listen, there's always going to be a few surprises, but we are intent on that. As I said, many of us are retired. We do this because we believe in it. We have a passion for it. So I want, if you hear nothing else tonight, that you know that we come to you with a great deal of sincerity, and we are approaching our job as if we were going to be here forever. So what comes next? As I said already, there's a draft report that should be out late summer, early fall. I said the board will be presented with the results in November in the final report. They will then take up the task of whether or not they would like to embark on any of the recommendations. I can't tell you, as I said before, we have no solutions in mind right now. Right now we're studying. So admit I hate just being a talking head. So the public input is really what I'm looking forward to. So how do you get involved? You've already started. Being at this meeting is a first step. What I can tell you, what I'm most impressed about, I've been in local government and around local government for a very long time, 50 years. I've worked in cities and counties and special district, multiple. What I'm really impressed about is the staff that we've had the opportunity to work with from the county, from the fire district, from the two cities. The work that they've done to make this meeting happen, the work that they've done to ensure that that you are going to have all the information, it is really impressive to us, and we're grateful. What I can tell you is there's a website, a landing page that will be providing you that address, that our work, as well as the ability for you to submit information, questions, comments through. There'll be a survey that'll be launched momentarily. It's a bit long. I did have a bit of a hand in it. That's probably why it's long. It might seem a little redundant, but the fact of the matter is we wanted to ask questions from a couple different lenses so that we could get your thoughts and feelings. And you should attend future meetings. You should talk to your neighbors. It's important. One of the items that we look at is mutual aid, automatic aid, boundary drop. What I know from my experience is that, and like all of us, we may be tied to our community. We may have a lot of community spirit. But when we find ourselves in a bad situation, an auto accident or anything like that, we really don't much care who comes and helps us. We just want them to be competent, trained, equipped, and there. And at the end of the day, I've known firefighters for a very long time. That's what they want to do. And we are endeavoring to make that happen as efficiently, as effectively as we can for Washoe County. So with that, I don't have a page left. So I'm going to click this and see what happens. Oh, should I sit down now?
Please.
Okay.
Thank you, Rick. If you'll give me just a moment, I'm going to stop sharing this so that our cameras in the room pick up the members of the audience. So I'll have my capable assistant, Candy. Yes, so she's changed the camera view so that those who watch this later will be able to see. Before we hand the microphones over to all of you, I have to admit that I failed the very dangerous test of trying to be sure that I recognized all the public officials in the room and failed to introduce and recognize that Washoe County Commissioner Jean Herman is also with us. My apologies, Commissioner. That's such a dangerous thing to do, and gosh darn it, I failed. So with that, mea culpa out of the way, we are going to open up the floor for all of you to provide input. as I said in the beginning, we really do want this to be a conversation and less formal. We ask that you be respectful. At this point, I don't think we're going to stick to a hard and fast time for trouble for that one. But we would ask that please try not to repeat comments. If you hear from your turn to speak, if you hear that members the audience who spoke covered your points, it's fine to say. And if you get really long-winded, then we ask that you take your seat so that others. We will have some final closing remarks able to share on the screen so that the folks watch the presentation will have references and to get to survey and the website, have material to take with them. That again, we thank you for being attention to the information that we presented. Get to the part of the meeting why all of you are listen, but myself and Mr. Solero will be heading into the audience with them.
For a proponent that very concerned second yes, I all of us so concerned asked back in time felt that there
Good evening, I'm Tom Daly from the Estates of Mount Rose. I want to follow up on that as to financials. In SB 319 focused on consolidation. The board has asked options other than look at the operating budget, debt, need for capital equipment, maintenance. Realize that property taxes make up 2/3 cost fire district. Going to need a property tax generates at least dollars if it's a consolidation. About 3 times higher just for the same amount. Consultants don't come back hard and fast plan.
Monumental task because to the elect. At 50.
Name is Marty.
I can say that'll never
Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Vice President of I think everybody in this room appreciate everyone. I brought a sample of step consolidation, budget, positive aspect of consolidation. Every single one of these has one step. You understand the legislative, having a study.
Okay. My side of the room. All
I'll
right.
give you a survey.
Okay. Well, give me a minute to get up and last of the slides up. Again, thank you for being. I think we got some key. Our region is growing. are in favor of growth. Some people are agnostic about growth. Some we don't love our reality. Recognize again, Senate Bill 319 or study. Our agencies are already collaborating. At the beginning about collaboration on computer batch upgrades. Final report is due December 36. Is your shape the finding. There are some resources and contact information survey that is now live. There is a link to it there. Long link is so these are able to also our public engagement website, our fire services study board website. There's my email address if you want to send in at the back of the, the front of the room here, have a QR code that you can capture on your phone that will take you directly to the survey. There's a handout with those codes on. And tomorrow, mid-morning, we'll have live on Fire Services Study Board website a link to that engagement website where you can access and participate in the survey. I will say it does, you don't have to complete it all at once. It will let you come back to it. But once you have completed it, it will recognize the IP of your computer and will not let you take it a second. Have multiple. There. And this slide deck will also access to those links and my contact information. Thank you sincerely for making time to be. Really appreciate night and as we thank you.